You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Engle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk. Are you serious? I'll be joined in a second by my co-host, the Mad New Yorker. We're right here live on Northeast Streaming Sports and simulcasting on Let's Talk Sports. You can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, either live as we are now or anytime after this show airs. I welcome everybody back. Sorry I wasn't on last week. I'm still suffering from the effects of this viral infection that has pretty much overwhelmed me the last 2 weeks. Something playing here. Hold on. But we're recovering and we'll try to get a full slate of shows in this week. We had to postpone an interview I was going to do with former Texas Ranger great Jim Kern this week as he was not feeling well. So we'll probably put 2 interviews in the can next week. Jim Kern and former Laker, Portland Trailblazer, Clipper, other teams, great Kermit Washington, known for the punch. So we'll talk to him about that in his career as well. But it's good to be back in the saddle with you guys today. Hopefully everybody's doing well. And we're going to talk a little bit. Good morning, Alan. Good to have you. We're getting there. I guess I'm about, I don't know, 40%. Good morning, CA. Good to have you with us. We're going to talk some Aaron Rodgers and the Jets today. We'll talk some, I almost said Danny Dimes. I hate that stupid nickname. Daniel Jones and the Jets coming to a big agreement. Yankees shortstop battle. And maybe some NCAA. We'll see where that goes. But for now, let's welcome in the Mad New Yorker, Carlos Chavez. Good morning, Carlos.
Happy Friday, everybody. Keith, how you doing? Good to see you.
We're hanging in there. We'll try to make it through the day. If I fall over and disappear from the screen, just keep talking, Carlos.
Nah, man, just do like Zoom and turn the camera off, and we'll keep it going.
Way down, I might not be able to hit the camera button, so it'll just be an empty studio. You can keep talking, though.
Yeah, man, it's all right.
Well, we'll survive. Thank you.
I might do all the talking today anyway with all these things you want to talk about.
Oh, God, I'll have to probably mute you at some point here today, I'm sure, with topics we got today. So anyway, lots going on in the world of sports. NCAA, we're in March Madness, too, and we may get to a little of that today.
The madness has begun.
Yeah, and if we don't, we'll certainly get into it.
A little shout out to all those little schools in Tennessee. They made it to the third round, so we'll see how far they get.
Yeah, only one of them's going to get in, though. So
well, we got Memphis in the running, Tennessee in the running.
Memphis and Tennessee will get in.
Middle Tennessee State University in the running. Vandy. No.
I'm going to give one quick tirade here, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but we can spend a couple minutes. The committee has got to stop and look at West Virginia gets waxed yesterday. Oklahoma State gets waxed yesterday. I don't want to hear any more about these two teams being in a tournament when they can't even become within 4 games of 500 in their conference, and they get whacked in the second round of their conference tournament. They don't belong. Start looking at the second best teams in some of these mid majors that are really good basketball teams, and let's stop with the under 500 in the major conference teams that are.
I mean, I kind of want to make that argument too. The problem is that a lot of these mid majors championships right now, some of these teams are just who are top rated are whipping up on the smaller teams. So
no, I get it. I get it. Look at the Missouri Valley, for instance. Drake wins the league, but Bradley had a very, very good regular season and should be considered for an at-large bid, or vice versa if it had gone the other way. And there's a handful of other conferences that I can say the same thing for. And don't tell me about strength of schedule because nobody will schedule these guys and play them.
No, but the Big East tournament is looking kind of interesting,
You could have a bid stealer there if Villanova stays playing well. So they won last night, I think, didn't they?
They did, and who's out is Providence. They got beat by UConn. So
yeah, they'll probably be in the tournament though. But anyway,
and dominance is being shown by UCLA. So
Yeah, Oral Roberts not being ranked is a crime. And by the way, there's a good example. If Oral Roberts, and they rolled through their tournament, so it didn't matter. But if they had gotten knocked off by one of the Dakotas or somebody in the final and they didn't get a bid to the NCAA tournament, it would be a crime. It would be an absolute crime.
Actually, Villanova got beat by Crichton last night.
Oh, so Villanova's out, so they got no shot. It looks like, so you'll probably have the four or five teams.
And look, shout out to TCU and their athletic department having their basketball team and their football team do great this season. So it's not, we'll see what happens.
TCU is one of my dark horses. They struggle a little bit here with some injuries toward the end of the season. Have started to right the ship. So nice win for them yesterday against who they beat yesterday.
TCU beat Kansas State.
A-State, yeah, that's a good win. So, yeah. All right, let's jump into this. Topic number one, is Aaron Rodgers headed to New York? The hierarchy, Woody Johnson, his brother, Salam, God knows who else. I'm sure it was like a presidential summit out there. Met with Aaron Rodgers this week. All signs point to it's possible he will come here at a cost of about $60 million in salary. Only a couple of draft picks from what I've heard, first round and a mid-round. Do you want to win a Super Bowl and put up with the madness, or do you want to continue?
So let's talk about who's not coming back. So Braxton Berrios got dropped from the team to save a little bit of cash space. Right? They pick up
gonna look good in that Patriot uniform, let me tell you.
They picked up Chuck Clark from the Ravens. Not a bad pickup.
Mm-hmm.
They're solidifying their defense on that part, but again, the Jets have a lot of holes to fill besides Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not understanding.
Where are those holes? Their running game, if Hall comes back healthy, their running game is fine.
Their running game will be good. Not fine because that O-line still got two holes in it, and one of them, back then, he might be okay, he might not be okay, but that situation doesn't give them depth. That situation gives them problems.
Yeah.
So that to me is like, that's one of the reasons Breece Hall got hurt was because that O-line didn't give them enough, oomph. And on top of that, they don't really have a real fullback here. So,
well, who plays? Nobody plays with. Hardly anybody.
But Breece Hall is not a big running back. As much as he's quick, he needs to make sure he gets to that first hole. So that first gap that they make.
And look at nobody. I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan in the world, as people know, but just playing devil's advocate, he comes in here. The Jets are going to make the playoffs because they have enough talent around him. And he will make those wideouts and he'll make the running game better. Just him being there.
If you're a Jets fan, how are you feeling if you make it to a game where you have to beat Buffalo to get the first round bye and you don't beat Buffalo, and then you go around and you lose the second game after losing to Buffalo in the playoffs? What
are your other options?
No, that's a problem with the quarterback situation all over the NFL is that there's slim pickings, and that's caused a lot of just bunch of just I wouldn't say mishaps, but tumultuous decisions by some of these GMs.
Well, the Jets fan, I haven't won a Super Bowl since 1969. That's 50 plus years.
There's not one quarterback that they could put behind that line and they're going to win a Super Bowl.
If you put Aaron Rodgers there, you'd have a fighter's chance. In fact, the bettors who think he's coming here have already lined up to bet on the Jets as a future.
Yeah, but what you see and what you get from Aaron Rodgers.
I don't disagree.
That defense is going to have to put up 14 plus points.
That's not true. Come on.
Yeah, that is true because
that's true.
What is Aaron Rodgers' last 5 seasons? What has been his biggest knack? He can't get over the hump. He can't get past the,
Listen,
he can't do it in the big game, right?
All I'm arguing, and again, I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers advocate. I'm arguing if I'm a Jet fan, and I'm far from a Jet fan, if I want a chance to win with what I have looking at for 2023,
mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers giving me my best chance to win, all the drama and all, and the 39-year-old quarterback.
Because you're not a Jets fan, if we were to give you, if Green Bay was to give you Aaron Rodgers on the Patriots, and the Patriots were a little bit better, would you get to a Super Bowl?
It's not the same situation. First of all,
What's the difference between the Jets and the Patriots?
I will tell you the difference. You got the wideouts and the skill positions at tight end and wide receiver are much better with the Jets than they are with the Patriots. Much better. So the team is, and they're also got a quarterback for the future, and the Jets right now don't.
Can Aaron Rodgers average more than 27 points a game with his arm and the team that's around him at the Jets?
If they improve the offensive line and they can run the football, yes. You got a future Hall of Famer maybe in Garrett Wilson at wide receiver. That kid is a generational type wide receiver. He's going to be a great player.
I'm going to tell you something. The Dolphins in the same division didn't average more than 27, and they had two of the best wideouts, and they still didn't get to the Super Bowl.
Well, they're going to have Tom Brady playing there next year. That's the difference.
He's going to come back out of retirement.
Listen, not to change the subject, but sadly, the rumors are already ramping up, and they're hot and heavy.
But let me say something to Dolphin fans. Tom Brady's been a hot number there since 2018. So
yeah,
let's see how good these rumors are this year.
He's not coming back. Scott Zolak in Boston started a huge uproar yesterday because he said the Dolphins are 100% in play for Tom Brady next year.
I mean, the reality is that there's no guarantee to get anyone to a Super Bowl.
No.
Here in New York, people already starting to fluff their feathers, but across the other locker room, they just signed a quarterback that they don't know what they're going to get from either. So
look at the Bengals 2 years ago show you that preseason concerns do not prohibit you from reaching a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but Bengals did it for 2 years in a row because they came out, the Super Bowl, the time where they made the Super Bowl, not too well. They didn't start the race too well, and then last year they didn't start the race too well, but they almost made it. So, and
regardless of who the quarterback is for the Jets, they will be more highly ranked in the preseason as far as having a chance to go into the playoffs and do some damage than the Bengals were 2 years ago when they actually.
Yeah, but those are semantics, man. I'm in a championship type of mentality. If you ain't gonna win a championship, it doesn't matter what you did at the end of the day. Which is why I feel like the Giants are just going in circles.
But again, and I hate being in a position of sticking up for Aaron Rodgers. If you're a Jet fan, who gives you the best chance to actually win? Zach Wilson might.
But the problem is that as a GM, you got to choose somebody, right? That's the problem. And the reality is that you can't choose who's going to win your Super Bowl. You got to make sure that the team is balanced well enough to be able to put you in a good position. Because at the end of the day, it's not that maybe one player can put you on the top, but if that player is not even in on the roster, how is that even going to matter? Look at the Buffalo Bills went out on a limb and got Von Miller. He wasn't even a puzzle piece to that team at the end of the day.
He was till he got hurt.
Again, that move didn't matter to them. They didn't do anything.
Well, I don't know if I can. If you just do nothing, then you don't have any chance to improve.
Right, but if you're doing what you're doing is almost the same thing, right? Well, here's the thing: Rodgers would be an improvement over any quarterback that's been on that Jets roster for the last 10 years.
That's my point.
But again, what are you giving up? Because he's demanding $60 million because that's what's he's due from Green Bay. So and that'll be something that they can work out. The money will always work out. It's the draft picks. Are you willing to give up a first rounder this year or maybe next year? It depends on how they work it out. And maybe it's a good thing that the Jets have to give up draft picks because they don't do a good job except for last year. So.
No. Again, so let's just say, and again, I don't want to sit here being a shill for Aaron Rodgers because I think he's a dope. But if I'm the Jets and I don't have a quarterback, I think who's giving me the best chance? Give me another quarterback they can bring in here. If Rodgers doesn't come, who's the quarterback? Who do you bring in here? Ryan Tannehill? For what? Jimmy G?
And then right now the biggest hoopla is if Rodgers doesn't make it to New York, Lamar the man to be next on the list? And I mean, I don't know.
Well, Miami steal this division either, Alan. If the Tua's bell gets rung 10 times again next year.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems in the QB, man. All over the NFL, there's a lot of problems, man. So
there are. So you haven't answered my question though. Who is going to be the answer if it's not Aaron Rodgers? Who's the Jets quarterback starting?
I don't believe any quarterback is the answer in the situation that the Jets are in. I just come to that conclusion.
So they're lost.
I'm sorry?
The season's lost. We're just going to punt it right now.
No, I mean, they can play. They played last year. They did okay. I mean, they did a lot better than what, they did one or two games better than everybody said they would without a quarterback, without one kind of quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
But you need that quarterback to get you over the hump.
I just feel like the Jets are more than Aaron Rodgers, one Aaron Rodgers away from getting to Super Bowl.
Well, I'm not saying I say they have a better chance. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm not going to say they're winning anything. But if you're asking me, if right now, if the Jets needed a quarterback, which they do, who gives them the best chance to be competitive and maybe have a surprise season next year? Unfortunately, it's a drama queen, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and the biggest problem in New York is that they are picking up one of the offensive coordinators that didn't do that well last season. And so there's already questioning that is whether he's up to snuff no matter who his QB is going to be. So, management is important, especially if you're going to bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers. And even if Aaron Rodgers said he was the guy, he made me feel, good about myself. He made me feel good about being a quarterback, about playing. We almost we made a Super Bowl run. We came up short. Even if you talk him up like that, that doesn't mean that he's going to be able to replicate the same thing. You're talking about a different team, a different set of guys. And unfortunately, the Jets don't have any kind of playbook that was any good from last season. So,
Right. So, hang on.
And they're definitely going to have to change and do what Hackett wants them to do because, LaFleur is out of here. So,
Alan, you're absolutely right. Some guys are better coordinators. A lot of guys are better coordinators than head coaches. And now you're referencing Dan Quinn, but it seems to me you were pushing Dan Quinn for every job opening in the NFL this past year.
Don't worry, he'll get an opportunity when this guy when Saleh loses his job next season.
And who? Oh, Saleh. So you want, if you want to blow big leads, Dan Quinn's your guy. Bring Dan Quinn in if you want to blow big leads.
Right now the Jets are trying to bring in anybody, and I think that's a bad look. But again, I understand it. I understand, and I see the potential. I see the athleticism that the Jets defense has. I see it in some of the players that the offense has. But again, I feel like they're 5 to 10 players short from five starters in defense, adding defense and offense. 10 if you're talking about like backing some of these guys up. Because if Breece Hall comes back, their backup is maybe a tier down. You want your backup to be either almost the same level or, have some kind of agility to be able to pick up the slack, right? So,
well, you're there now. You got Zach Wilson and Mike White. You're exactly where you want. Two guys with the same amount of ability, which right now is 0.
Oh, I mean.
So again,
look. At the end of the day, at the beginning of the season, you start at 0. So we'll see if again Aaron Rodgers has to choose to come to New York. It's not like he's forced to come here. Green Bay doesn't want him though. So,
good morning, Bob Engle.
And Green Bay's playing the money game. Good morning, Bob. How you doing? Green Bay's trying to let go of Rodgers so they can fulfill the Love contract and not have to pay him and get at least one season out of him, right? And they're trying to get out of that $60 million deficit. So,
well, there's no way he can return to Green Bay now. Now that he said he wants out, he's talking to the teams. He cannot return to Green Bay.
He's done it before. The GM had open hands and gave him an extension.
All right, one more time before I ask you where Aaron Rodgers plays next year. Who is the Jet quarterback next year?
Ask the football gods. Whoever ends up wearing the number 8.
Put yourself out on a limb once, and I'll saw it off for you later, but put yourself out on a limb. Who's the quarterback for this team? Because I'm telling you, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, we all hope in New York as Jets fans that it's Aaron Rodgers, but hope is just what it is. It's hope.
You just said you weren't hoping for that. Now you're hoping for it?
No, I'm not saying not me and myself in particular. I'm saying
say we. Say Jets fans, and you say we, and you include yourself.
I mean, but I'm part of the fanship that's kind of not on board with that.
You don't want him. You want anybody else. So I guess you're okay when Ryan Tannehill takes center next year.
Oh man, I feel like everywhere I go, there's some kind of Tannehill like spell that's following me with the QB.
He stinks, man. He's terrible. Everybody out there, unless they can find a way to swing a deal for Lamar Jackson, which isn't happening. Aaron Rodgers is your best shot if you want to win next year. That's it. Where's Rodgers going to play?
Whoever gives him that money, and picks is whatever team gives him that. I mean, I feel like the Raiders might sneak out and try and make a move. But here's the thing: I don't think McDaniels wants Lamar or Rodgers. So that's to me where I'm at, because McDaniels, has his system, and he's trying to save his job. He ought to be looking to bring in Aaron Rodgers as well if he wants to save his job. He's probably got to bring in Jimmy G, and he'll win 8 games and get fired. So I feel like that might happen. It might. So listen, since you're unwilling to go on the record here, I'll tell you, I'll answer both questions. The Jets will be quarterbacked by Aaron Rodgers next year, and that's where he'll be playing quarterback. We'll see. Not saying it's a good thing, because it will be a circus. It's a circus right now. It was a circus before Daniel Jones got signed. It's a circus and Aaron Rodgers, talking about Aaron Rodgers. It's still a circus, man, because it's a part of football fanship that haven't seen a championship since like the 60s. Right? Carlos hoping to trade all their draft picks. Problem is, they don't make very good trades with those draft picks any better than they pick guys in the draft. It's just hard to be a fan in New York for any sport right now. So it's easy to be a Knicks fan. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's move on to your boy, another guy this is a guy I will say I've been talking up now for 2 years. God. Showed last year that he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Keith, to give me an ulcer, bro. 4 years, $160 million. Only 80 of it guaranteed. Only 80. The cap number next year allows them to also bring back Saquon Barkley and leave them some space to bring in some quality wide receivers to help Daniel Jones actually put up numbers that will match his performance. You're a New York fan. I know that, but I mean, why? I don't understand. There's a new ownership, new leadership with the GM and the coach, and they can't make a decision. They made it instead of making the best decision of moving forward and moving on. They make the same decision, keeping what they did last year. So they're already en route to lose their jobs in the next 2 seasons. They made the worst decision, right, of keeping a quarterback that they don't really know what they're going to get from, and then a running back who's just come back from injury, had one great season. Now, if you give him a contract, you don't know what you're going to expect from him next season, because you're not going to get the same. You're not going to get the same results from Barkley. You're just not. I'm sorry. And you don't know that. You don't know that. If you can lessen his workload by getting better. How do you lessen his workload if you don't have an O-line? Then on top of that, you're asking New York to get players that can't play because they just signed a quarterback they don't know from, right? And they're going to expect a wide receivers to come to pick up the slack. How do you think Barkley got all those before last year? How do you think he got to where he was last year? Because the Giants had Odell Beckham. But who did it also have? It was a cancer in the locker room. They had a pretty decent defense. The defense has stayed okay. The Giants had only won 5 games that they were supposed to win because they had a good defense anyways. How many games they win last year compared to the year before? Yeah, but they won 5 of them coming back from overtime, man. Come on. When was the last time they made the playoffs? Last year, that's it. When was the last time they won a playoff game? Before last year. Stop it. Brian Daboll, you're telling me these guys are on the clock to get fired, and they just turned the whole organization around in 1 year. They didn't turn anything around, Keith. They didn't turn anything. It's all smoke and mirrors. All smoke. And on top of that, good coaching. What you're talking about is good coaching. Taking coaching and making them better. That's coaching. What smoke and mirrors is. What they do against one of What are they doing in the last game that they played? Where was that coaching at?
They were playing one of the best.
They didn't even put up. They put up 14 points? No.
Well, the defense.
Nah, man. Look, if you're coach and you make adjustments, you're gonna at least put up some points because you made an adjustment. And now you're telling me the guy who couldn't get you through the hump, which is Daniel Jones, is back on your team, and the guy who carried your team last year has got tired legs is back on your team, and you're gonna put it all on him again. Last year, I'm sorry, but last year Daniel Jones didn't carry the team. It was Saquon. Saquon's ranked number 4 running back, and he did everything that he had to do to make sure that the Giants would.
Who carried him in the playoff win against the Vikings? Who carried him in the playoff win against the Vikings?
The Vikings had one of the worst defenses that they've ever had in their history.
Forget about that. Ask a simple question: who carried him? It doesn't matter how good the defense was.
Their defense. Look, the Vikings defense was so bad they were giving teams 14, 16 points anyways. They were just giving it to them.
Before I move on from Alan's comment here about keep him in New York, you know what? You shouldn't be cackling about quarterbacks, Alan, because yours is worse than Daniel Jones, by the way.
And it's getting paid less than Daniel Jones now, too.
Still going to be better than the cancer in Washington. Who did they bring in there? I'm slipping my mind. Who did they bring in?
Who did they bring in? They got rid of
the team formerly known as the Redskins. Who'd they bring in? I know they jumped Wentz. Did they bring in?
They got rid of Wentz.
Alan will pull it up if I can't think of who it is. Listen, this team has made a huge leap in 1 year into the new regime. They made Daniel Jones even better. Daniel Jones has gotten better every single year since he was drafted. He's still being penalized for being a 6th pick in the draft, which is not his fault. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Again, as I said with the Jets, there's no better option. If you had cut ties with Daniel Jones, who's the quarterback?
Yeah, at this point, what the Giants have 11 picks?
They're gonna pick a quarterback at 20?
They could pick a quarterback in the 3rd round. This year is up in the air about how good actually these quarterbacks are anyways. Plus, man, look, just rebuild. At the end of the day, your finances were so messed up. Just rebuild. Now they have a little bit of room, a little bit of cap room. Yeah, but that's not going to give you
have a team
the players you need on the O-line to protect who you just put on the franchise tag.
You have a team that's ascending, and you want to tear it apart. And
how are they ascending, Keith? How if they need so many players? How are they ascending? There's no balance there.
Games? Are you not watching the games and seeing a better?
Yeah, I'm watching them trying to come back from losses from losing the game.
Oh my God!
I see those. Did you not see those?
I saw them all, and they're a perfect football team. No, I said they're getting better. They haven't made the playoffs. And
how are they going to get better if they kept 2 of the same players? Are they going to look? If they get any better next year, they'll probably win maybe 3 of the games that they should have lost this year. And the schedule this year is not in their favor. So,
yeah, I thought Sam Howell was the starter in Washington.
They didn't bring anybody in. They're just going to start the rookie that they got.
Listen, I'll pick the Redskins. Oh, sorry, the team formerly known as the Redskins to win that division again.
They'll probably steal games from the Cowboys and the Giants anyways. They've been doing that for the last 3 seasons. So,
and the Eagles, Super Bowl losers have hangovers most years.
Yeah, I don't know about the Eagles this year, man.
Look at it right now, and I don't think the Giants have signed Barkley yet, but obviously they can franchise him, so it really doesn't matter.
He's tagged
for like $11 million, which is nothing.
Right.
And they can improve their wide receiver cores and the defense a little bit. The defense has played well in certain spots. Wink Martindale came up small. Brian Daboll gives him full control of that defense. The reason they got waxed by Philadelphia is the defense put the offense in a horrible position, giving up almost 300 yards rushing, and couldn't stop the Eagles even once all night. That's why they lost that game. Don't blame the offense.
Yeah, Wink thought that he could play the same defense that they played in Minnesota, and that's not going to happen, bro.
Dak is still better than Jones. I disagree. One bad season doesn't define a player.
Can we just come to an agreement that they both should be getting paid what they're getting paid, and they're both not at the level they should be at this moment of their careers?
I'm pretty sure they have the same amount of playoff wins, Alan. I'm not sure. Oh no, maybe Dak got his 2nd one this year. So anyway, we can argue about that all day. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, congratulations, New York. You just made the same move that you'd had last year, and it's going to be in the same, maybe in a worse place because they're not going to pick up those 5 wins.
They'll be the second best team in that division. I said they would be last year, and they were.
I hope they're the second. This guy better wish he was second.
I was going to point out Dallas had a better record. Sorry, but I'll tell you, Dallas was Giants were the second best team in that division.
How many games did Dallas win last year?
What did they win, Alan?
Was it 9?
Yeah. No, I think Dallas won like 11 or. Oh, where's my NFL here? Standings. I think the Giants won. Seems like so long ago. Dallas won 12. Giants won 9.
Right, and the Giants should have won 4, but they came back
with the same amount of playoff games, which at the end of the day is what matters.
I mean, they're both not good teams, man. But we'll see.
I'm going to tell you, I see the Cowboys taking a quarterback somewhere in the draft this year.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys can do what they want. They're always going to be coming in second or third in this division.
CA is looking forward to the draft, as are we. I mean, we're only, a month away? Something like that? Middle of April. So you should about around a month.
About 3 weeks, man.
We'll be talking more and more about the draft for sure. Hold on 1 second.
It is 3 weeks till,
sorry about that.
2 weeks and some odd days until the first pitch is thrown.
I'm hydrating with my vitamin C for anybody who's worried about my well-being. Bob and Jeanette, see, I'm taking care of myself. Anyway, we'll agree to disagree again.
Yes, we will.
Again, I have to, before we move on to another topic that'll make my head explode. So if the Giants hadn't gone this direction, you say tear it all down, rebuild. So you just go with Tyrod Taylor and win 4 games next year, and
just go with Tyrod and try to find a backup. I mean, you're gonna get the same results, Keith. You're gonna get the same results. So you might as well.
4 wins and no playoffs is not 9 wins and a playoff victory.
The 9 wins don't count, Keith. They had to come back to get those last wins. They didn't do good in their playoffs. They showed that they don't have a team. They showed that they were lacking all kinds of players in all kinds of positions. They
beat a team that finished 13-4 in the playoffs.
Yeah, but that again
on the road.
Minnesota was the best team in their division because the division is whack. Can you not say that?
I will say that, yeah.
Hey, so what are you happy about?
I'm not happy. I could care less. That's what's funny is I have to defend the New York teams that I can't stand because they're better than they've been in a long time.
So the record shows that they're better, but the analytics is not in their favor. Where the same thing with Minnesota, the winning record shows that they're better, but their analytics is horrific.
Analytics, schmanalytics. Nobody cares about analytics. People care about winning and losing. That's what people should care about. My God, analytics. Well, the analytics say the Giants should have been 15.
And besides the analytics, that was going on this year that some of these players are going to get paid on. Besides all that junk,
I could care less what they get paid on. I care about what happens on the field. People want to show me analytics that the Giants should have won 4 games last year.
That's the only thing you and I will agree on is that this analytics is like over the top. And look, and I kept saying it, and I'll keep saying it until I see something different. That for the last 3 or 4 years, NFL's been mediocre, anyways. So,
listen. It's a pretty simple game. What you see is what you get. The fat bastard that I like to refer to Bill Parcells as said one smart thing in his entire life. You are what your record says you are. That's
I don't know
forget about analytics. Gosh. Oh, my God. Analytics says the Eagles should have won a Super Bowl. Who's carrying a trophy around?
I know. That's amazing, right? That team, that young defense, man.
These freaking geeks and youngsters who don't know anything about anything want to throw numbers and analytics and dive into everything except what matters, which is winning and losing games.
You got what I keep telling you, man. You got to put points on the board, man. It doesn't matter whether it's defense or offense. You got what I say to you. Even though I wanted the Eagles to win, I chose the Eagles to win. I told you that if if the Chiefs, if they score more than 27 points, they're gonna win.
Yeah.
And what happened? They put up the points.
Okay. They played a better football game.
No, they didn't. They did not play better. I didn't even see them attempt a run in the first half. The first half of the game, they didn't have the ball for like 13 minutes, Keith.
They won the game. I don't care. The better team, the champion is the better team. No matter.
Okay, but you saying they played a better game? They didn't play the better game. They played the smarter game.
Why is that not better? Why is that not better? They outcoached them.
It was okay.
They outcoached them.
They played possum, bro.
Outcoached them. They made less mistakes. That's how you win football games.
All right. Okay.
Who was better in 2007? Going into the game, who was better, the Patriots or the Giants?
It was the Patriots all the way, but
Patriots would win that game 99 times out of 100. That day, they got outcoached and outplayed.
They got outplayed. They weren't outcoached.
They were outcoached.
That defense was
Spagnuolo outcoached them.
You see, that's where I just think they had a lot of talent and a lot of speed on that defense. And they had this one number 90 that a lot of people don't ever give him credit for how good of an athlete and how much speed and how much actual what stamina this guy has.
There's Robert, popped in just in time to see my head explode. Thank you, Robert. Thanks for popping in this morning.
I don't think people give enough credit for that player.
Which one? Sorry.
Mr. Number 90, Mr. I got my fingers blown off.
Oh. He's a great player. Not very smart guy, but
listen. Before he got drafted, he did like 10 backflips. I don't know if you remember that video where he did 10 backflips to show like.
No, I think I do. Where's my Knicks thing here?
Yeah, he did like 10 backflips, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that's a crazy thing to do." And he only started turning his body from the backflips like after the 7th one. So he did like 2 or 3 more, and he did them all in a row, right? This guy is one of the most underrated players in the NFL, I think.
Well,
how many Super Bowls do he have? Like 3 or 4?
3, I want to say.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
And he had won one Super Bowl without his fingers.
He was with Tampa, right, when they won?
Yeah. I can't remember. Let's try to remember his name, but it's keeps sliding. I'm so upset about the Giants signing these guys. Anyways, go ahead.
Let's switch gears before I fall out of my chair here. So, the Knicks.
Oh, the Knicks. Oh.
Speaking of New York teams, one that I do root for, who have turned the corner. Have they turned the corner? They just got off a 10-game winning streak where they beat the Celtics, the Heat, on the road. They're now 39-29, only 4 games out of 3rd place in the East behind Philadelphia. This team's been a different team since they picked up Josh Hart from Portland. Been a great move, a chemistry move, a move that really turned this team around. And Jalen Brunson, R.J. Barrett is starting to get his act together, and Julius Randle's having an MVP-type season. Why is this team not better?
They lack depth, man. They lack
depth.
They lack depth in the skill levels. A lot of the players are almost the same. Have almost the same like skill level. Brunson is not one of those. He's like above, especially in a basketball. Knowing the game of basketball, a better passer.
Yeah,
a smart shooter. He's not just shooting the ball. So his basketball IQ is high level, right? Randle is one of those guys who he's just in the game right now. He's not taking it over. He's not thinking about it. He's just in the game. And what I mean by that is like even last night when Brunson was out, he tried to take the game over and they defended him. And he, instead of making smart moves like passing the ball, he was just shooting the ball, trying to make points because they were behind, trying to catch back up. And so that if you have a night basketball IQ that is comparable to your teammate, that stuff like that, those little things won't add up and you won't see them much. But I understand where he's coming from because he's like one of the leaders of the team, and he wanted to be the one to brunt all the work. And the problem is that when he has the ball, he doesn't have good handles, and he doesn't have good he doesn't make good decisions of shooting the ball where he's at. If I'm him and I have his body, I'm nowhere near the 3-point line. I'm attacking the basket because who's going to stop me? And he doesn't do that. And so if he had that basketball IQ that was higher, he maybe would think that way. Why am I shooting threes if there's only 2 guys that can take me? One of them's out here. I can just dribble the ball to the side and just attack the basket. Okay, maybe I don't make it or I can't dunk it, but at least I'll get on the foul line. Right? I mean, they were down by 20 points to a team that is, which I'm picking as a dark horse, which is has a lot of depth, which they might have gave that lead back to the Knicks, but that 6-man and the depth that they have on that roster was not gonna let the Knicks have it.
Who are you talking about? You're talking about
Sacramento Kings.
Sacramento?
Yeah, that's a well-balanced team. They're a scary team. If I'm in the playoffs, I don't want to play them. They're young. They're fast. Really, they have 3 or 4 guys that have high basketball IQ. They have 2 guys that can take the game over. They have a 6-man that can bring them back into the game.
Kevin Huerter, one of the best players on that team, very underrated player in the NFL, Kevin Huerter, right here from our area in the capital area in New York. High school.
They have a good balance, and they have a coach that's willing to bend, not break. Allow the players to play, but then bring them back in when they're getting out of sync and out of focus. So, good job for Sacramento. Their fans coming out like it's playoff game. Even better for you over there in Sacramento. Good job, Kings fans, right? But the Knicks, I keep telling people, I'm excited that they're doing better. I don't understand why Tibbs didn't do this 2 years ago and just keep playing his young players. But they had contracted players. I get it. It's the NBA, whatever.
He didn't have the young players he's playing today 2 years ago, by the way.
He had some of them. He had some of them. And
wasn't on a team 2 years ago. McBride wasn't on a team 2 years ago.
Yeah, but Quickly was.
Quickly was. And Quickly's turned into a very valuable asset off the bench.
But again, now he's using him as a 6-man, which is he's probably going to be in the running for. But my thing for Tibbs is that he's not going to change. He's been doing this in Chicago. In Chicago in 2013, when they made the run, the only thing I give Tibbs credit for right now, and the one thing he has been able to do with this team, is he's gave them a run of 10 games to win. When he was in Chicago and they had Rose was often injured, and they had maybe 7 or 8 five-game winning streaks throughout the season. But then again, that Chicago team had a lot more depth, had a lot of more players that were young and fast, and were getting better and were better in their skills than this New York team. So it's hard to compare those 2 teams. But the coaching mentality that he has, he's using the same thing that he's used for them. So he's very predictable. You don't have to do anything to get him out of this game.
Listen, you said this team isn't deep. They got 9 guys averaging 20 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Quickly's really good off the bench. Hart's played off the bench. The bench is good. The bench is much better than it's been the last couple of years.
I mean, okay, he's starting to use those players more than he did last year. When he had different players too, though. So you can't give those older guys 20, 25 minutes and expect high production. You can give these younger guys he has on the roster.
What older guys? There's nobody old getting major minutes. Who's old that's getting major minutes?
Randall is the oldest player on the team who has the most minutes, and is not in his production is not averaging what he's playing.
He's averaging.
Hey, wait! Now listen. Now
rebounds.
He does lead the league in a few categories. I'm not going to say he doesn't, but as far as his output for the amount of years that he's been in the NBA, for the skill level that he is, he should be maybe in the top 5 with the amount of minutes that he's playing. But he's not.
He's averaging more than 25 points.
And if you think I'm wrong, then you didn't watch the game yesterday. Where the Knicks shot up like maybe 35 threes or something, and then only make
one game out of the 50.
But that game, Randall was in that game for most of it because Brunson was hurt.
A game on the road after they've had a really grueling schedule, and this schedule doesn't get any easier here. This is an important trip for them. They go to LA, they play both the LA teams, they go to Portland, and then they come home and play Denver. This is a stretch where I think you'll find out if the Knicks just fall apart and lose 4 out of 5 here, well, then maybe I'm wrong again. But I do think this team has turned a corner because
they don't have the players to turn the corner.
Mitchell Robinson is controlling the paint, playing really good basketball and buying in to what the team wants him to do and even contributing on the offensive end a little bit. Cam Reddish is still getting some minutes, even though he's been in Tibbs' doghouse for a while.
I don't understand this whole dynamic of what he's trying to do, man.
The guys who are old, Derrick Rose averaged 12 minutes a game.
He's not putting Rose in as much.
No, he's not even a major contributor here because the kids like Quickly and Barrett's now picked up his game after a rocky start to the season. This is a good basketball team. I'm not telling you they're going to the finals, but I think you'll see this team do some damage in a playoff this year. I really do. They've turned this team around, and Tibbs has done a great job of adjusting his approach.
Yeah, I still think he's lacking a little bit of like just holding. Look, right now Brunson is not 100%. For the last 3 games, we see that, but he's putting him on the court. My thing is, if you're smart, you got the playoffs coming up. Don't maybe start him, give him 10, 15 minutes, but that's it. Why keep putting him in and out of the game, and then you're forcing him to play faster and smarter against some of these teams that are going to be ready to defend Brunson anyway. So
you need to win games. You can't play one of your best players.
Yeah, but again, use Brunson as a motivator in this game. Don't use him as a player because he's not even 100%, and you could see that. We can see he's not 100%. He did the same thing with Rose when they were in Chicago, and it came up with the same. We came up with the same results. This guy is not smart. This guy just does the same thing over and over again.
Brunson's averaging 34 minutes a game.
Yeah, and he's hurt right now. He shouldn't be playing more than 20 minutes.
Because we got to win games, Carlos. That's part of the game too.
Again, bro, like listen.
If you're injured, then you don't play. If you're hurt, you play and you do what the coach tells you to do. If you're injured, then get off the court.
Maybe he's better off the court then. You need Brunson in the playoffs. You don't need him now.
I don't.
You're already in the playoffs right now. If the game's ended today, then in the playoffs. If the end tomorrow, they're still in the playoffs.
Yeah,
but if you give him a whole week off, what's the deal?
Just never.
If you give him 4 days off, what's the deal? No, give him 3 days. But you're playing him, and he's not helping you.
I know you're doing this all because you want Coach Tibbs coaching Austin Peay next year, but that's not going to happen.
He's gladly invited to coach there anytime. Go to the Ohio. Go down there between Kentucky and Tennessee, and make yourself a greater coach than you already are.
I want to back up for a second, and I know we're talking about the Knicks, but I don't want to ignore Anthony because Anthony's a good follower of the show, and Anthony's talking about the football we were talking about. Hard work and loyalty pays off for Daniel Jones and Geno Smith, who, by the way, also got a nice contract with
Anthony. How about the fact that there's a lack of quarterback stardom? That's helped Daniel Jones and Geno Smith.
Probably could have got 6 years somewhere else, by the way.
Geno?
No, Daniel Jones.
The Jets probably would have threw a bone at him.
If I'm the Jets, that's where I would have gone. I've said that all along. Why, the Jets talk about Rodgers. Why aren't you talking about bringing Daniel Jones across town? That's a real coup.
He's not across town, just across the locker room from one
what I mean.
Stadium, one side to another.
That was not a literal statement.
Who's a dinosaur?
Actually, we will talk about this for a second.
No, that guy's not a dinosaur, man. That guy is a walking zombie.
You can say what you want about Jim Boeheim. I know Ken Gifford doesn't like Jim Boeheim. I've had my ups and downs with Jim Boeheim, but Jim Boeheim has had a great career as an NCAA basketball coach. He took a team in central New York where to bring kids into play in the middle of winter when they could have gone to Westwood or other places that are much nicer.
Arizona.
UCLA, Arizona. And he gets them to come to Syracuse and play in the middle of nowhere. And 47, and by the way, love him or hate him, he put the University of Syracuse on the map as a national basketball power. He coached 47 years. That's never going to happen again, guys. The guys aren't going to coach 47 years total, much less with one school, and a 60-year affiliation with the school since 1963. He won over 1,000 games, 1,100 games, I think. He would have been ahead of Krzyzewski if he didn't have 108 wins vacated for some violations over early in the 2000s.
Right.
And the vacated wins covered like 6 different seasons. But he's the type of coach you're never going to see again. Never. And I know a lot of people don't like Jim Boeheim.
You know the worst part about that situation, Keith? Is that Syracuse did him wrong. Instead of celebrating the man, they pushed him out forcefully. They didn't give him the respect that he deserved.
No, it was loyalty, very weird end.
The loyalty aspect. The university was halfway built by this guy.
47 years, 30.
Yeah, and you're just pushing him out the side door and trying to kick him into the nursing home. And
35 trips to the NCAA tournament, 5 Final Fours, 2 finals, and a championship. At Syracuse, that's a pretty damn good record.
Yeah, but why end it like they ended it? Why couldn't they just be like, yo, here's a celebration, this whole I'm not coming back, and I don't know what the university wants. I don't really want to do, and
Kenny, you're right. At its prime, the Big East was a place to play. In 1980, when the Big East was formed, it became the first TV conference in the country. It was built for TV. And Jim Boeheim, you can hate on him all you want. And listen, it was time for Jim Boeheim to go. I don't have a problem with him leaving. Right. I get that. Let's celebrate his career, not tear it down. Jim Boeheim was a big reason the Big East became what it was. Jim Boeheim, Lou Carnesecca,
Calhoun.
I'm sorry. God, who's the coach of Georgetown? John Thompson. Calhoun. Raleigh Massimino. These were the guys that built that league and made it what it was because they had big personalities. You either loved them or you hated them, and it made the Big East a great. The Big East was really good for college basketball, by the way, because it got big in the East again, where it wasn't big. It was just a bunch of.
Well, a lot of kids got to stay home or near home that were, at those days, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, some of the street balls that was going on there, they were able to keep some of these kids in the high schools that were big, private schools. They got to stay home. They got to stay near home, right? And Syracuse is one of those places for those kids near the peak skill and near the city that wanted to not be in the city but didn't want to go too far, right? And
I'll tell you this too. One thing, who doesn't speak ill of Jim Boeheim? His players.
No, because they gave him an opportunity. Some of these kids probably wouldn't have made the opportunity in the ACC team or even in the SEC team because, these kids were brought in from the local areas that mostly only the people in this area know these kids, and they didn't get recognition anywhere else, right?
No, he built these kids. They just had an alumni weekend for the team the week before where they celebrated coach and some of the great players.
If we were to do a roster of those kids or those men who have graduated from for Big East universities, how many of them were from the West Coast or Southwest? You had a lot of them from the Southeast, from Florida all the way up the coast. But you didn't have many from West Coast and Midwest. But a lot of them were from the Northeast, right? So
really good question here from CA. How many coaches left in Division I who coached without a shot clock or a 3-point line? That's a great question, CA.
I don't think any anymore.
But I'm going to guess 0 if I had to guess. Jim Boeheim would be the last one.
Wait, no. What's his name? Who's at Houston?
Calvin Sampson?
Yeah.
I don't. Right? 3-point line, he definitely was in play. No.
Sampson, no?
No, and he's, I'll go back and look, and there could be somebody in a mid-major that I'm not thinking about.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
You think about the power conferences, there's nobody, I can tell you right now, nobody. So that's a great question, and I will come up with the answer for it. See,
that's a good question.
Kenny's there, and I think we're talking about Quintana's hurt. We got a lot of injuries on the Mets. We'll get into this. Oof. We'll get into this in the next couple of weeks too, with the Mets and the Yankees. We were going to try it today, but we'll leave it for next.
Quintana will be out for at least 5 weeks.
Quintana's hurt, out 5 weeks.
Yeah, that rib, he has a rib injury. Left rib.
The Yankees injuries are already piling up.
Oh my goodness, what's going on with Rendon? Look, you called it. We called it, right? Didn't we said on this show?
Thank you very much.
We said on this show that if the Yankees got Rendon, that he would probably be one of those guys that you couldn't depend on because of his prior injuries. And the season hadn't even started, and what has happened?
He made it 2 weeks. Now, I don't know how many starts he's going to miss, but regardless, could be just the beginning.
And the Yankees, and here's the thing, Rendon wanted more from the Yankees.
And I think his question about a quad is, who's got the quad injury? Is that
Rendon?
Is that Rendon? Yeah. A quad, I'm not even sure. Do you know what a quad is? I think it's like like your thigh. I'm not sure. Let me look it up.
It's part of your leg. It's the upper part of your leg.
It is, right? That's what I think. Oh, shit. You still here? Oh, good. I thought I closed everything out. Let's find out real quick. Say something stupid while I'm doing this.
No, but I'm not saying anything dumb. But again, I gave Tibbs credit for that 10.
Well, your mouth's moving.
All right, so Boeheim should have got a little bit more respect from Syracuse.
Quad muscle runs down the front of your thigh.
Yeah,
muscle. That's your quad. And the pitchers need, obviously, a good base and they need the legs under them. So,
or it's either the push off or their landing, depending on what they do.
I knew this. If I went the injury way, he's talking about a quad win. So they put quads. They have different quads. Quad 1, quad 2, I think quad 3, and it's based off of the teams that are and their power ratings and their net and whatever.
Oh,
so
you're talking about the rankings,
right? And I don't get wrapped up in that stuff a lot. Again, it's more metrics and analytics that get to be nonsensical, Kenny, because records should matter. Kenny's a big supporter of Oral Roberts. He's been on their bandwagon longer than I've been on it this year. He started me drumming that drum for them. They're getting
every once in a while. Oral Roberts will get a team going, and
I've seen Oral Roberts ranked getting as low as low or as high, however you want to look at it, as a 12 seed. This team's got to be an 8, not a 7 or 8, not 12.
The problem is because they're not ranked, they're not going to get that love, man.
They'll be ranked. My gosh, they got 4 losses this year and not one bad one. All on the road to Houston, Utah State, who's a good basketball team. I can't remember the other 2, but they're all good basketball teams and all on the road. This team's going to, if they're 12 and I'm the 5 playing them, I'm scared out of my mind. And I'm betting Oral Roberts all day long. In that game.
Are they the Cinderella team?
Yeah, listen, they 16 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This close. So it's not a bad basketball team. Drake got in, Kenny. I know you brought up Kenny the other night in our chat. Drake did win their tournament, so they're in. They should have been in even if they lost. This is one of the arguments that I've made that, some of these teams that either win or have really good regular season.
Drake had those two guys come back, right?
Bradley's going to get screwed here. Bradley wins a regular season in the Missouri Valley and beats out a very good Drake team. Drake wins a tournament. Bradley's probably going to the NIT.
Yeah.
Bradley should be going dancing and not the Oklahoma States and not the West Virginias and not the Mississippi States under 500 in their conference.
Those 2 seniors are going to be scary to play from Drake. They stayed 1 year extra because the team last year did pretty well. They were hoping to get deep into through the dance this year. So watch out for Drake. They're not.
It's one of the better mid-major programs out there.
They're well coached. They're fast. When they get hot, they shoot. They make a lot of shots, man. And I saw some of their games.
And veteran teams, with really good athletic guard play like this team has, can do damage in the NCAA tournament. They're going to win.
I don't know if you remember last year when we were discussing the madness, and you were mentioning that about all these teams because they have players that have been there longer and they're older. I think that idea means more this year than it did last year.
I definitely agree because I think things are really wide open.
Because the NIL changed everything.
Yep. I'll be rooting for the Drakes and Oral Roberts. Good stuff there, Kenny. To wrap it up today. I know we're a little bit all over the board, but that's what we do here. Carlos, thank you.
Keith, take care of your quad, man.
Listen, I've had a serious quad virus for the last 2 weeks. I got to get better. Guys, have a great day. Thank you, Carlos. Right. Oh, I forgot his name for crying out loud. That's so bad. For Are You Serious? We'll see you guys next Friday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy March Madness this weekend. Enjoy the WBC USA today. USA. Have a great day.